Hey, everybody. Connie, Mr. Bishop. There we go.
There we go. I knew I was forgetting something.
You're fine. Anyway, welcome back to From One Side to the Other. I am Kristoff N. Chester. Anna. Hello again. He's up there. Don't know where the fat guy went.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the dogs ate him, but they look way too skinny.
I know last week he said he was talking about catfish. And we do not have catfish, so we won't be doing any hot sauces.
Yeah. I really hope he did not go all the way back to West Virginia to go catfishing.
That sounds like him.
That sounds exactly like him.
That explains it.
Hi, Tara. Everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Alrighty. So, boy howdy, last week was just such a fun, upbeat, chipper episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what we should talk about? Unsolved murder mysteries. I'm sure that'll totally cheer up and just be great for the morale. Sometimes I wonder where I even come up with half the ideas. Like, really? This is not a happy episode. Fair warning. This is going to get gnarly and nasty and weird. But then again, I mean, that's kind of why they come here, right?
Yeah.
I hope. But before we get into any of that stuff, do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that the Black Lily will be attending the Halfway to Halloween convention this weekend, actually, I think, isn't it? 25th and 26th. That's this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, 25th and 26th. Hopefully I'm getting that right. She'll be selling more of her weird little curse boxes, wands that are not from the Loveland Frog, psychic readings, tarot readings, things like that. So, yeah, go check that out if you're in the area. That's San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken. This is why I usually look at my notes, but this is the world we live in. Anyway, and honestly, really, if there's a convention near you called the Halfway to Halloween convention, you should probably go in the first damn place.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking today about missing peoples and unsolved disappearances. Because, I don't know, just such a cheery, upbeat, cheerful guy, aren't I? Always, I mean. Yes, this weekend, yes. Okay, I was right. It's kind of warm out in the desert tonight.
Hello, everyone, by the way.
Yep, there's the bishop over in the corner. But no, we're going to be talking about...
Hello, Connie. Hello, Chester. Hello, Dad. Hello, Tara.
Now, I feel kind of bad because these are people's names, and I'm terrible at people's names, so you're going to have to help me out here, probably.
Okay.
This first incident we're going to be talking about is one that actually kind of got famous, but then also just went away, as weird as that sounds, which is the sad truth. I mean, geez, what's the statistic? Like, there's 90,000 people who go missing every year in America, in just the United States. I think it's something like 90,000. The point is, a lot of people go missing each year. And the sad truth is that some of them, a lot of them actually, just, there's nothing to find. There's no anything left behind. Which is absolutely gut-wrenching and terrifying to think about.
More than 600,000 people go missing annually.
Annually, okay, so not as bad. Wait, that's worse than I thought.
Yeah, that's yearly. Yeah, and according to this...
Geesh, here I am trying to be upbeat, and the bishop just comes in and power bombs everything. Holy cow, that's more than 6 times what I said.
How does that... I don't know. Approximately 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered each year.
Wow.
That's actually really creepy.
Hi, everyone. Um, but yeah, no, this one briefly gained notoriety when it first happened way back in 2004. Which, by the way, means this is a 20-year-old case. This lady has been missing for a very long time, and it's very tragic. But before we get into anything, I want to point out, this program is not a news broadcast. The information being provided here is purely for topic. It is not meant to be a call to action or any kind of an alert. Just saying that. I mean, I don't want someone to go war the worlds on me here. Be like, oh shit. If you think it's breaking news, it's not coming from here. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, the first person we're going to talk about, and I really hope I'm getting this right, Brianna Maitland. I think it's pronounced Maitland. Maitland. Maitland? Maitland? Maitland or Maitland? I'm not sure, actually.
I think I know who you're talking about.
So, she had a bit of a complicated and very sad life, actually. She was a dropout from high school. Apparently in her early teens, well, not early teens, her mid to late teens, she had apparently gotten involved with some pretty nasty drug, actually. But the saddest part about this whole thing is that apparently she actually had been changing things. She had actually turned her life around to a pretty positive position. The funny thing is she attributed it to moving out of her house. She said that the first step was moving out of her parents' home into a small house with a friend of hers. But anyway, what we care about is... Hold on here. We care about March 19th. So, that morning she actually had taken an exam to get her GED. And apparently she had passed it. So she was with her mother, Kelly, to celebrate. But things kind of got weird really fast. Now, for starters, her father was apparently out of state on business, and he couldn't be there. But they were together, her and her mother. And after they had lunch, they had to go do some errands, and so they went to a grocery store. And out of nowhere, Bree completely changed. She told her mother that she had to go out into the parking lot for a minute, and she left. And so her mother checked out and everything and actually found Bree in the parking lot. But Bree's personality had completely changed. She went from being very excited and in good spirits because she was sure she passed the exam for her GED to suddenly becoming very agitated. Let me see if I can find her exact words. Shaken and agitated. Her mother's exact words, she seemed shaken and agitated and said that she had to go home because she had to get ready for her job. She worked at the, where was it? It was like the Black something Tavern? Black Lantern Tavern, excuse me. Black Lantern Inn. Hey, give me a break. I'll get something right on the first swing eventually. And unfortunately, that was the last time that her mother, Kelly, ever saw her. We know that she went to work, and she did a shift at the Black Lantern. Her coworkers claimed that they tried to convince her to stay after and have dinner with them. But she was really, what's what I'm looking for? Evasive. She was very evasive. She didn't want to be there. She booked it as soon as she could, saying she had another job she had to go to in a couple of hours and she wanted to get some sleep or something. And that was the last time anyone would see her. As chilling as this is. Yeah. The next morning, a vehicle that Bree had been seen driving, I believe it was her father's Oldsmobile, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think she was borrowing his car, had been found backed into an abandoned building that was known locally as the old Dutchburn House. No idea why it got that nickname. Sounds like a kind of ominous name, huh? Dutchburn?
Dutchburn, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but that brings to mind pretty bad things. But anyway, and what's interesting is actually we have that photograph. 'Cause there it is, yeah. The Dutchburn photo. This thing on... Wait, hold on. I can get this. Nope, wrong way. There we go. This here, it's mirrored. Leave me alone. This here is literally the only piece of evidence that exists about the Bree case. It was found in the early morning hours. Several people drove by it not thinking anything of it. But eventually police were called in to investigate it. And it only gets really weird from here, so buckle up, kids. Inside the vehicle was found, in no particular order, her medication, because she was taking medications for migraine symptoms, I believe it was her ATM debit card, and 2 uncashed paychecks. Outside of the vehicle, there were cigarettes, a water bottle, and one witness claimed that he had found jewelry nearby. A bracelet and a necklace. Now, when police arrived, they claimed that they never saw this jewelry. So make of that what you will. But several people, including Bree's ex-boyfriend, claimed they saw the vehicle parked there in the night prior. Now, this barn is, roughly speaking, 1 mile exactly. Apparently, yeah, it's exactly 1 mile measured from the Black Lantern. And also, real quick, I think that's kind of interesting that the ex-boyfriend drove by there.
Noticed the car.
And he recognized the car even. He knew that was Bree's parents' car.
And he didn't stop to be like...
No.
Hey.
His account even claimed that he saw the car's blink lights were on. Huh. Which I have a question about that. Where are the blink lights on a car?
The back.
The back that was backed into the barn?
Well, there are front blinkers.
I have never seen a front blinker. Chat, help me out here. Have any of you ever seen a front blinker on a car?
Yeah, you're talking about the turn signal, right?
Yeah, turn signals.
Yeah, they're on the front.
Huh. I've never seen one. There's the emergency lights. I know about those, but I mean, I'm also not a car expert, but when you say I saw the car's blink lights on, my first thought is behind the car, because when you are turning, you're signaling to the cars behind you.
Could have been the emergency flashers, or he specifically said blinkers.
Blinkers. He said the blinkers were on.
Because there's your hazard lights.
Yeah.
And it just basically lets people know.
That basically turns on everything.
Yeah.
Fun side note, Oldsmobile. My grandfather had an Oldsmobile, but I think he had a Cutlass. I'm not sure. This was a sedan, I believe. But anyway. And it gets very strange and weird because as far as her parents knew, Bree didn't smoke, so what were they doing with cigarettes scattered around the ground? And by the way, when I say paychecks, they were hers. They were signed to her name. She just hadn't cashed them for some reason. And her debit card. These are all things that exactly can be linked to a single person. But here's the problem. Nobody who knew Bree found out about this until about 5 days later. You think I'm joking? Apparently her roommate had come home and found a note that was saying, hey, I'm probably going to be leaving for work as soon as I get home, so I probably won't see you. But the thing is that her roommate had been away for the weekend. So she was like confused because Bree didn't work on Mondays, so she wouldn't have put it there the night before. She must have put it on the 19th before she went to the Black Lantern. That's the assumption. And Monday, after the weekend, her roommate found the letter. And so she started asking, has anyone seen Bree? It was only because of this, because the roommate informed her parents that she apparently never came home over the weekend, that they were like, wait, where's the car? Where's Bree and where's the car she was in? That's when they found out that the car had been impounded by the police because they thought that it was parked there by a drunk driver. And so they assumed that the driver would when they were sober, would come looking for the car.
I guess I could see that, but...
Yeah, and it only gets weirder. It only gets more strange from there. But yeah, finally, on Monday, they figure out that the car has been impounded, and she apparently was missing the entire weekend. And that's when they start saying, hey, we think she's missing. Unfortunately, there is a certain length of time which has to pass before police can say that a person is missing. Oh, I'm not dying. I'm sure I'm fine.
Please don't die.
And so it wasn't until Tuesday, the 23rd, that they finally said she was a missing person, and they started actually combing the areas for her. And it gets very uncomfortable. We're going to go to a very dark place here right now. For starters, very quickly on, there were all kinds of anonymous sightings and phone calls made to the police as well as to the family themselves. Because the family had actually put up a $20,000 reward for anyone who could provide information leading to, finding their daughter. And it was pretty gnarly. Let's see here. Yeah, people who came forward saying they had seen the vehicle. One man claimed that on March 19th, around 12:30, he saw the car with its lights on, but there was no one there. Another man claimed that around 12:30, he saw the car there with the lights off. Around 4 a.m. is when the former boyfriend, the ex, claims he saw the vehicle, and he claimed that the blink lights were on. And then, of course, the next morning when the police got the phone call and were told, hey, there's a car parked into a barn, that's when the famous photograph, the Dutch burn picture, was actually taken. By the way, fun side note. Well, not fun. Actually, quite horrible. Wow, really bad choice of words there. Horrible, tragic thing. Kelly, the mother, She claimed that she couldn't look at that photo. It literally made her blood run cold. She described it as an actual image of evil. She literally, like, yeah, they were like, "Ma'am, does anything in this picture stand out to you?" And she looked at it and immediately handed it back to him. She couldn't look at it. Very, very interesting effect.
See, now that you say that, looking at it is uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think for me, okay, I want to try and explain it actually because I have a theory myself. I think the reason it's so unsettling, by the way, if anyone is actually getting uncomfortable looking at the picture, sorry. Maybe we should have talked about this with cursed objects. I think for me, what's so unsettling is that it looks so inorganic. Like, if you were drunk, you would not crash into a barn like that.
Yeah, it looks like the car went backwards.
Yeah. And there's no damage to the road, which means it wasn't going fast.
On the wrong side of the highway, it would have been going backwards.
Yeah. And again, look at the ground. There's no like kicked up dirt or mud or grass or anything. It looks like it was backed in there slowly.
Yeah.
Like somebody who was staging it.
Yeah.
And then you have cigarettes scattered on the ground with someone who doesn't smoke. That sounds to me like planting. That's just my opinion. Of course, that raises more questions because the police themselves actually at first ruled out foul play. They argue their theory was that, well, if it was foul play, why would they leave her debit card and her paychecks? To which I have a counter to that. If you murdered someone, why would you then go and use their debit card or try to cash their paychecks? That couldn't be more suspicious.
Yeah.
But after several anonymous phone calls, that, in my personal opinion, these were straight up harassment. This was something evil, or someone evil. The police agreed that it most likely was foul play because the parents began receiving phone calls with information that some of them I cannot actually say here. These were monstrous phone calls about, and I'll say a few. I'll paraphrase a couple. Hold on here. Yeah, here we go. I saw your daughter the other night when she was chained to a tree in the woods. Another one claimed that the individual had seen her sinking to the bottom of a lake. And these are the ones that I can say, by the way. Some of these are incredibly graphic and evil. Which, by the way, real quick, I know a lot of people would probably say, oh, hi, kettle, meet pot, with me, and morbid jokes and really mean-spirited senses of humor. No, you do not get to say it was just a joke, bro, when you call up a mother and tell her that you chained her daughter to a tree or that you made her sink to the bottom of a lake. That is no longer in the realm of, being funny or anything. I mean, what was it the Joker always said? The first rule of comedy is that there needs to be a punchline. That there's not much of a punchline in telling someone that you killed their daughter. But the interesting one, the one that made the police finally break down and go, okay, we need to take this a little bit more seriously. This was probably a murder. Was, where is it? Here it is. A letter had been sent to the police department It was delivered by an elderly woman who claimed that she was asked by a friend to drop it off. She didn't know what was in the letter. But the letter went into incredibly horrifying details about how Bree had been kidnapped by a pair of drug dealers who she owed money to. And they were going to ransom her off, but when they found out her family didn't have money, they decided to dismember her with a table saw and dispose of her body by feeding her to pigs. So, even though the police were very uncertain about this piece of information, because anyone else get the movie reference? Hannibal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hannibal?
To the pigs.
Yeah. So police were kind of uncertain, but they were also like, well, if someone's going to go out of their way to make this letter and have it delivered, then you can't really say that this is a runaway or it's a prank or something. This is, even if it is ridiculous and outlandish, they got to check into it. So enter in Raymond and Nathaniel, a pair of drug dealers who had a long history of conflicts with the police. The police raided their home, obviously because the letter explicitly said their names. So they showed up with a warrant, and supposedly it was actually a really tense situation. These guys were ready for a fight. And literally police explained, we're here in relations to a missing girl. And suddenly, as the story goes, Raymond and Nathaniel were like, whatever you need, we can help. We'll help you however we can. But we didn't do that. They were like, dude, we'll admit that we do drugs, we sell stuff, we'll admit to anything, but we did not hurt any girls. We did not kidnap anyone. And it's even more interesting because they actually knew Bree. And they acknowledged that, yeah, a couple years ago she wanted to try crack, so we sold her some. But that was the one time. She decided she didn't like it. So we didn't push her on that, but we knew her. But she didn't owe us money or anything. I mean, literally, she just tried out the crack one time. But it is kind of funny how these two criminals who were apparently ready to fight these police because they thought it was a drug raid. They thought that it was over, marijuana or crack. And they were like, yep, Thelma and Louise time. Second that they mentioned that there's a girl involved, that there's a missing person, instantaneously they were like, we're on your side. We got your back. You need us to go talk to somebody in the streets or something? They literally said they would be willing to do anything because they didn't want to be in trouble for that. That, hey, book us for drug dealing, book us for anything. Don't send us to prison saying we kidnapped some poor 17-year-old girl. Because people who commit crimes against minors are very popular in prison. So I understand their motives. But I've always kind of liked to think maybe there was something decent in Raymond and Nathaniel, Because, okay, fine, drugs are bad, yeah. Doesn't mean you're a completely horrible, irredeemable person if you are involved in that stuff. But anyway, so that ended up being complete waste of time. Meanwhile, the parents are still getting harassing phone calls about, horrible things being done to their daughter. Also, a very sad little side note, because I mentioned that there was a $20,000 reward. Apparently, in July of 2017, that reward was redacted. As far as I understand it, the parents have decided that there's no bringing her home. She has to be dead by this point. So, the reward is null and void. No one ever was able to claim it or provide any information at all. in spite of the two drug dealers' attempts to help, they were never able to find anything. However, there is some more information about this. Years and years later, in 2006, a individual, I believe this was a security guard, at a casino, at Caesar's Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. There's an Atlantic City, New Jersey. Figure that. The footage shows a woman who does apparently look kind of like Bree sitting at a poker table. The security guard claimed that he actually saw her and recognized her because he had heard about this appearance. But by the time he actually got to the table, the lady had left and no one could really say anything about her. She was just, someone there playing poker. It would be another 6 years in 2012 when law enforcement officers believed that there may have been a connection between Bree's disappearance and the absolutely horrible, infamous Israel Keys. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of this disgusting example of a human being, Israel Keys was a serial killer. And we kind of have to bring him up a little bit because he is relevant. Basically, Israel Keys was the textbook example of a copycat killer. He himself acknowledged that his hero was Ted Bundy. He idolized Ted Bundy and loved anything to do with the taking of lives. He loved death, which is a waste of time because I guarantee you death don't love you, buddy. But now the interesting thing about him is that he claimed that he wasn't a serial killer. He was and I'm going to paraphrase again here. He was a warrior because he only made honorable kills. He never killed women or children. He only killed men. Or his story did contradict because he did later confess that he did kill a couple women, but never children. He never crossed that line. He just crossed the other line he said he'd never cross. He also confessed later to multiple cases of sexual assault, doing that certain R word that I can't say here on YouTube. Unfortunately, though, they found no actual connection. Apparently, cruel ironies here. He was saved by his criminal record. They verified that he was not in New Hampshire. He was nowhere near where the disappearance occurred because they confirmed that at the exact same time, he was on the other side of the country in Alaska, if I'm not mistaken. Alaska, committing a murder. And to be fair, while he may have been an absolutely reprehensible pile of garbage as a human being goes, even he couldn't be in two places at once. And real quick, two other things about our boy Israel before I get back to the topic at hand. One, he tried to recreate Ted Bundy's legendary struggle against police when they arrested him. Remember how they claimed that it took
20 different officers.
Yeah, it took over a dozen men to actually restrain him and arrest him. Yeah, apparently Israel tried to recreate that, and it did not work. He got his lily butt kicked and taken down by a single detective and his trusty taser.
So I'm reading here, U.S. Marshals used a taser to subdue him.
Mm-hmm. See, now the thing I read said it was an investigator. It wasn't even like a marshal or anything special. It was just an investigator tased him, and he went down, and they caught him. But you know what's funny is he claimed to love death. Well, you should be careful what you wish for, Israel, because he got it in a very bizarre way. He was being held in a jail cell in Alaska prior to his actual trial. And when the guard came round in the morning, you okay over there?
Yeah, I just had pain.
Oh. Anyway, when the guards came round, they found that he had deleted his subscription to Life magazine, if you get what I mean, and I think you do. But here's the bizarre thing. Not only were his wrists slit, the right way, by the way, if you know what I mean, you know. But here's the bizarre thing. The coroner reported that he didn't die from blood loss. He died from strangulation. So the question now arises, how does a man slash his own wrists and while bleeding summon the strength necessary to literally with his bare hands strangle himself?
I don't know.
I don't either. But that's what happened to him. He slashed his wrists and then he was strangled. Presumably by himself, because, I mean, who else could have gotten into his prison cell? Or jail cell, excuse me, there's a difference. But what's also disturbing is that apparently he had been scratching at his fingers and finger painting with his own blood, and he drew 8 pictures, 7 skulls, and 1 pentagram. One of the pictures had the phrase, "We are one," written on it. And to this day, nobody knows what the hell he was doing. What did that mean? What any of it was. But he was a truly monstrous individual who, I'm just going to say my personal opinion here, he met a deservedly bizarre and strange death. And real quick, I'm just going to say this totally off the record. Mr. Security Guard, who checked his cell and found him, I think you did nothing wrong. Well, I don't know if he needs to hear this, but that security guard, whoever you are out there up in Alaska, good job. He's the only person. He's the only anyway. We're going back to the point though.
I reckon he drew satanic stuff on the walls.
See, the thing I saw was that he had been using his fingers to like finger paint with blood, and they were pictures that he hid underneath his mattress. But anyway, yeah, monstrous human being. Idolized Ted Bundy, the man who inspired Michael Myers. But the irony is, today he is considered the textbook example of a copycat killer, someone obsessed with other killers who wants their fame. And yet, he swore up and down that was the last thing he wanted. He didn't want to be a copycat. He wanted to be his own thing. He wanted to be not the next Ted Bundy. He wanted to be an equal to Ted Bundy. Fuck you, Kays. Fuck you. You are the portrait of a copycat. You are nothing resembling an original individual. And Ted friggin' Bundy of all people? No, there are some bad people to look at and go, I want to be like him when I grow up. But Ted Bundy kind of has to take the cake.
I want to be just like Ted Bundy when I grow up.
Gets taken down by a single investigator. And a taser. One of the most ineffective weapons ever designed. I'm sorry, I'm sure people won't like to hear that, but it's true. The taser is a terrible weapon. It is seriously a joke, honestly, at this point.
Would have been funny. He was expecting this big struggle. Stand there. One cop, beanbag gun. Right in the chest, and he just walks over to arrest him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like he didn't even he doesn't even have the dignity of being able to say it took a beanbag to take him down. He went down to the least effective weapon that a police officer carries on them. And that's, by the way, that's not me being mean or pro-gun or anything. No, that is a statistical fact. Tasers are some of the most ineffective weapons ever designed by human hands. They are terrible. Do not depend on them to save your life. Anyway, we're going to get back to Bree now. Fuck you, Israel Keys. And I hope I'm mispronouncing your name because fuck you. But anyway, so unfortunately that came up a dead end. However, in 2016, on the 12th anniversary, excuse me, I misread that. On the 12th anniversary, investigators revealed on a news broadcast that they had actually found DNA samples at the scene of the crime. Which, by the way, yes, it still is considered a crime. They still believe she was murdered. But they claimed that they actually found DNA. Unfortunately, they had very sparing amounts, so they had to be really careful with testing it. But they had it. They had DNA. Side note, by the way, shortly after that, the Dutch Burn barn burned down, though it was ruled to be unrelated. I've seen a few different claims. Some people say it was hoodlums who were like trying to film in the barn, and I guess a candle flame got out of control. I've heard other people say that it was actually intentional. But yeah, it's gone now. Yet it still remains one of the most uncomfortable pictures to look at. Even I admit, I don't know if I mean, obviously it might be a little bit different for Kelly, the mother. I would imagine, yeah, the last photographic evidence of your child, before their disappearance, probably would be pretty hard to look at. But even I agree, it's very unsettling. It looks so staged. It looks unreal.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. But anyway, they had DNA evidence. Well, flash forward one more time. And this is the last thing that they wrote. This is it. This is the end of the road, my friends. In March of 2022, 2 years ago, the police revealed that they had indeed found DNA samples, and even though they had to be extremely careful because they had very limited supplies, they were able to make a match to an individual that had been previously interviewed regarding the incident. And the last word that anyone has said about this was the police answered the question that the individual was currently being very cooperative and in dialogue with the police in relation to Bree's disappearance. And that's it. That is the story of Brianna Maitland. Yeah, it is bizarre. There's so little to go on. What was it with the grocery store? Why did she suddenly get upset in the grocery store? How did the ex-boyfriend see the blinkers of a car that was bad? I guess maybe I wish we had a car expert here. Because different cars have different lights, right?
Yeah.
Does a Oldsmobile sedan have blinkers in the front?
It should.
It should, but do we know? Wait, no, you're Mr. Bishop. You know everything that's convenient.
Yeah.
See, I'm looking at Oh yeah, I was right. My grandfather did have a Cutlass. I remember that car. I actually kind of liked it. Yeah, my dad's saying, yeah, all cars do. Okay.
It's a law now.
Yeah, now. How was it back in 2004? Or hell, when was an old sedan made? Like, it could have been an old car. But yeah. Okay, so maybe the boyfriend has a explanation there. Maybe he did see the front blinkers. still seems weird to me.
Remember when I had the car, the rats ate the front blinker? That was the blinker bulb I replaced.
Oh, I thought that was I thought that was the emergency light.
They would have been the same.
They function the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, no.
And I had to fix that. And it was like
Your car got eaten by rats, literally.
Yeah. I do miss that car. It's been a loss since 1935. So yeah.
Oh, okay, so thank you. Still, I don't know. Something about the ex-boyfriend bugs me in this whole thing. You know what I mean? It's like you recognized your ex's parents' car parked like that with the blinkers on.
Yeah, and it's like,
now
and you didn't stop?
Yeah.
You didn't investigate, like, hey.
How did now? To be fair, it's an ex, so I have to ask the question: How did your relationship end? And you know what? Let me ask the chat, and even to you, Mr. Bishop. If you saw the car of your ex's parents parked in a suspicious manner by an abandoned building at 4 a.m., would you really just go on your merry way?
I'd at least call the police. Be like, hey, there's...
That's something's not right. And and I'll even blinkers were hooked to the parking lights. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so fine. He could have seen the blinkers from the way the car was parked. But I still have to argue. And anyone who has an ex, tell the truth. If you saw your ex's parents' car parked suspiciously out in the middle of nowhere at 4 a.m. with emergency lights on, would you not do anything? I mean, I think you'd have to hate your ex.
Yeah.
I mean, I only have one ex, and well, that was an interesting thing. But no, I would stop. I would have stopped. I would have, hell no, I wouldn't have just kept driving. That's for damn sure. I don't know. I don't like this ex-boyfriend dude. Yeah, Mr. Bishop would check it out. See, Mr. Bishop has my back.
Yeah.
Hell, even from a self-preservation standpoint, you come forward and say that you saw your ex's parents' car parked suspiciously and you didn't do anything? That's going to make you look bad, dumbass.
Yeah, that does sound suspicious.
And then there's, what about the drug dealers? I mean, see, again, I you know me, I'm a boundless optimist. I'd like to believe that there was still something good in those guys, and they knew, we got to help this girl, we got to do the right thing. Were they just trying to save their own asses, though? Our dads.
Yeah.
Find out who she was with this time, or getting laid. Oh, yeah, man. We need to align the stars and actually have them together. Like, I think they could make a great buddy cop movie.
Oh, that'd be funny.
That would be great. But yeah, and the in spite of everything, the big thing for me that's so strange. What was with the prank calls? I mean, is it possible that there are just some people who would be that monstrous? Sure. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, it's like Israel Keys. It's like, was it someone who wanted the attention?
Maybe.
I don't know. Also, by the way, what do you think the odds are that the little old lady who actually delivered the letter is also the one who wrote it, and she was just like, "Oh, it wasn't me. My friend, whose name I conveniently forget, she asked me to drop this off here at the police station because that's not strange. I have to go home and take care of my wiener dog now. Goodbye." Yeah, Mr. Bishop brings up a good point. Spouse and ex are always the first people to be, suspected. So you better make sure your underwear's clean, man. Why would you admit that you saw the car and just kept driving? But yeah, that is unfortunately all that there really is to say about that case. And it doesn't get any nicer. I'm just going to warn you folks now. It does, well, maybe it'll slightly cheer up because the grand finale we're going to be doing here is maybe old enough that it becomes humorous. But before we get to that, we have another one, and this one is also from New Hampshire. In fact, it happened only, I want to say, like 3 months before Bree disappeared. This is the disappearance of, I'm going to try really hard to pronounce this name. Mara Murray? Mara Murray?
Mara Murray?
Mara, is it pronounced Mara?
I think that's it, right?
Maura. Mara? Mara? Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce that name. Anyway, so she was she's a pretty one, isn't she? Too. I think she's kind of pretty. But anyway, so she also disappeared in New Hampshire. Which, real quick, by the way, I have to ask: is there a capital of missing peoples? What state has the most missing peoples? It's going to be something like out of left field, like Wyoming, actually, or something. You would never expect it to be that state.
It might be Oregon.
Really? Hold on, folks. The bishop is looking up something.
I'm sure it's right. Oh, gosh. Can you just give me which states has the most missing people?
Yeah.
Oklahoma has the highest rate of missing persons in the U.S., with Arizona and the rest of the South not far behind.
The rest of the South. That's an interesting conglomeration. But Oklahoma?
That's what that said.
Huh. See, I called it. It would be a state you wouldn't expect. But anyway, so Miss Murray, I'm going to call her that because I know for a fact that's how you pronounce that name.
Gosh, yeah, Oklahoma.
Wow, that is dark.
Huh.
Anyway, though, but yeah, it's Oklahoma is the capital of disappearances, which is sad. I mean, that's one of those things. You don't want to win that contest, right?
Yeah, no.
That is sad. But anyway, so yeah, Miss Murray was another example of someone who was on a pretty good track. She seemed to be doing pretty good in life. She had just finished her junior year, attending Massachusetts University. She was going to become a nurse. Now,
Also, yeah, Alaska is very high. Yeah, I can see Alaska.
I could see Alaska. Well, see, the thing with Alaska is a lot of people go there to hide.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, now, back in November, before she disappeared, she actually had gotten into some trouble, like really bad trouble, actually. Identity theft. In November of 2003, she confessed to stealing credit cards and using them to buy food. The charge was eventually dismissed, however, in December, I believe it was. But then, yeah, she had all kinds of bad run-ins. February 2004, she was on duty at her job as a security guard. Apparently, she had been on her phone with her sister, and apparently it was not a pleasant conversation. After this phone call, which was roughly around around 10:30, whatever her sister told her over that phone apparently caused Murray to have a mental breakdown. Her superior officer, her supervisor, her whatever you want to call him, found her in a hallway, and I quote, completely zoned out. No reaction at all. She was unresponsive. But she was apparently sobbing. And finally, after apparently somebody showed up and actually shook her. Like they get out of it. She finally was able to choke out 2 words. My sister. And beyond that, she just kept crying. It would be 13 years later before anyone found out exactly what happened over that phone call. Her sister, Kathleen, publicly confessed that in the conversation, she had confessed to her sister that she had quit a rehabilitation program and gotten back into drinking. Yeah.
It causes you to break down that bad?
Yeah. To the point that you literally have to be shook, and all you can manage is to say 2 words, and you're going to tell me that that was because your sibling confessed to you that they had a relapse with alcohol? I'm just going to say it off the bat. I don't trust this Kathleen lady.
Yeah, I don't.
That doesn't sound right. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand it can be gut-wrenching, you know, when you watch someone you love deal with addiction. Because, I mean, it's not a straight road. It's a series of stumbling blocks, my grandmother used to say.
Yeah.
Addiction is a, yeah, that's what she said. She said it was a series of stumbling blocks. She always had such a wonderful way to put things. But so I get it. I understand that you could be upset if you found that out, but literally crying uncontrollably and being basically unresponsive. See, I'm not even sure what, putting myself in the position, I'm not sure what my sister could tell me over the phone that would put me in a state like that. Like, even hypothetically, I mean, obviously I don't want anything like that to happen, because it would have to be a huge deal, but like...
A loved one died or something like that?
Yeah, like, it would have to be about death.
Yeah.
Not, I had a relapse with my alcoholism. No. Hell no. Right, I know, right? It's like, what the hell is this crap? But anyway. So yeah, she had all kinds of conflict, which is sad because, again, everybody always says how, you know, everything was going right for her life. She was doing great in college. She had a job lined up. Apparently she was going to actually... she had an internship lined up in a couple of years after she was done with college. Yeah, but she had this mental breakdown. She got caught and confessed to identity theft, which is bizarre. Because it's not like she was using it to buy, you know, a PlayStation 5 or something. She was using it to buy food. That doesn't sound like you're in a good place. That sounds like desperation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, Sorry, folks. Yeah. So, if I'm reading this correctly, yeah, she disappeared February 9th in 2004. And there was all kinds of bizarre stuff that was happening with her. Apparently, after she had been filed as missing, they actually searched her computer. And the last thing that she had used her computer for was to go to mapquest.com. Real quick, by the way, anyone remember mapquest.com?
I do.
And apparently she had been searching specifically for directions to Berkshires and Burlington, Vermont. Yeah. Another thing found on her computer was an email that apparently she didn't actually send. She had typed up one to her boyfriend. And this is the last thing that anyone... This is the last... I guess this is the last message that we have from her that apparently she didn't send, actually. But I'll read it out here because we have no standards. I love you more, stud. I got your messages, but honestly, I don't feel like talking too much to anyone. I promise to call today, though. I love you. Mara. That is the last relay of information that came from her. Ever. Stud. You know, the sad thing is that's a strange pet name for a spouse, just because it's so plain. It's like stud. That's not what you call your boyfriend. That's so generic, you know. But anyway, yeah, she had also apparently been searching up how to transfer phone services. That afternoon, around 1:24, she emailed her teacher at the college, sending an email saying that she couldn't attend. She'd be going away for a few days. She'd be gone for about a week probably, because there had been a death in the family. There was no death in the family. She lied to her teacher about that. Which, by the way, apparently her family were absolutely mortified to hear about this, because this was all stuff that she had been hiding from them. The looking up directions and stuff like that, and looking into switching cell phones, obviously lying about a family member dying. Yeah, this was all news to them. They didn't know. Which is, you know, I can't even begin to imagine. That sounds horrible.
It does.
Yeah. Apparently she had also booked a hotel in Vermont over the phone. And yeah, then she was just out of there.
Sounds like she wanted to go missing.
Yeah, kinda.
I know that might be a morbid thing to say, but
yeah.
Randomly. I don't know.
See, the thing that bugs me is the fact she didn't send out that email, apparently. So she changed her mind. She didn't send that message, but she'll message her teacher lying about someone dying. Like, something's up here. Something is real fishy in Denmark.
Yeah, that is fishy. Also, did they find out who Stead was?
Her boyfriend. I couldn't find a name, and I guess to be fair, some people don't want their name said online. Fair enough. And also, if I'm talking about you on this show and you don't like me talking about you, you could always come forward and, come home. So either A, I keep talking, or B, you come home. Either way, I'm a hero.
Yeah.
Good guy, Prince of Darkness. Anyway,
Football's acting up.
oh. Hey, you calm down. I might have to ask you a couple of questions about where the frickin' Jesus is. Anyway. Now...
He's sneaking away.
Go cause some... Go haunt a mine or something. Yeah. And there was all kinds of weird stuff that happens from here. Police claim that after they had filed her as missing, they searched her house and found that she had actually packed up a lot of her stuff. It looked like she was planning to move. They noticed that there was an absence of clothing, toiletries, her college textbooks, and her birth control pills. Excuse me. All missing from the home. These would turn up later when they were found in her car. And we'll get to that because, boy howdy. Oh boy. This is conspiracy theory. Unfortunately, we actually do have to go into conspiracy theory territory. So get your tinfoil hats ready, boys and girls. Yeah. So, one of the last pieces of footage we have of her is her leaving a liquor store. She was alone. There are claims that there was a $280 withdrawal made at her bank. And those security cameras also showed that once again she was by herself. So keep this in mind because this becomes very important later. Everything that they see of her in the coming hours, she's by herself. Well, at 7 p.m. exactly, in Woodsville, New Hampshire, which, by the way, is only 90 miles away.
Sorry.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Which, by the way, is only 90 miles away from where Bree disappeared. A local resident reported hearing a loud thud and went outside to investigate, seeing a car had crashed into a snowbank on Route 112, also known as, and I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, Wild Amanosek Road. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. That looks like some weird...
Oh, that's a native name, I think.
Yeah, Wild...
Amanusk.
Amanusk Road.
It's gonna be one of those that...
Yeah. Apparently the car had crossed the lanes and crashed into a snowbank. The lady who actually reported this acknowledged that it was a really nasty, sharp knife edge curve, and there had been a lot of accidents and stuff over the time. Now, it should be pointed out that this little patch of area did not get phone service back, cell phone service back in the day, back in 2004. So this resident literally had to, you think I'm joking, telegraph. Literally, beep, 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 beep. Yeah, she literally was sending out a telegraph, relaying this information to the police. people take technology for granted. It's like, no, you don't realize cell phones have only been really useful in the past decade. Like, seriously, technology leaps and bounds. It's kind of scary. But anyway, now, she claimed, in her initial sighting, she claimed that she saw a man with a lit cigarette in his mouth in the car. When police arrived, remember how I said it was important she was alone? Well, she wasn't a smoker. But when police arrived, the resident who wanted to remain anonymous by this, she didn't want to, for some reason, even though this was totally just a normal crash, nothing suspicious here at all, she, for some reason, didn't want to be identified. But she changed her story saying, oh, well, I thought there was a man with a lit cigarette. That was actually a bus driver who had his brake lights on. And from my view inside the house, I saw him with the red light around his head and thought it was a lit cigarette. By the way, does anyone buy that? Chat, help me out here. Does anyone buy a man standing by the brake lights of a bus looks like a man sitting down smoking a cigarette?
No, that don't sound right.
That doesn't sound right. What is he smoking? The biggest cigarette on earth?
What was she smoking?
The bishop here asking the real questions. Why did she want to remain anonymous? But anyway, but here's the thing. The bus driver did happen. There was a bus driver who drove around the corner and saw the accident. Now, because he was in a bus, he had to unfortunately drive about a half a block away before he could finally park the damn thing and come back. And he claims that he found a woman there. She was staggering around and he couldn't tell if she was drunk or she was injured, but she, and his quote was, pleaded and begged him to not call the police. She had already called AAA. They were on the way. There was no need to make this a bigger deal. Please don't call the police. And the bus driver, who was suspicious now, he didn't like what was going on here. He goes, okie dokie. I absolutely won't call the police. And then he immediately ran back to his bus and drove a little bit farther down till he got into a place that had cell phone reception and called the police immediately. Now, the thing that supposedly tipped him off that something was very suspicious and wrong was that she claimed she called AAA in an area where they still had to use telegraphs. Yeah, she was clearly hiding something, so he wanted the cops there. Unfortunately, by the time the police had gotten there, this mysterious woman was gone. Now, here's where it gets creepy.
So this was in the snow?
Yes. February. So, to be fair, yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm just wondering what footprints, but, well,
yeah.
You'll get to that.
Yeah. So, police officially on the records reported that they arrived at 7:46. 9 minutes before that, another witness claimed that she drove by the accident. Now, she explained that she kept going because this was apparently a little two-lane road. And she was like, well, if I stop here, I'm going to be blocking, any kind of ambulance or police or anything that probably is on the way. So she decided she was going to do like the bus driver. Drive further down the road until she got reception and call and make sure somebody was on their way. Here's the bizarre part. She claims that there was a van parked facing Murray's car. She claimed that it looked like it had markings like a police SUV. Nobody else claimed they ever saw this vehicle. And the police didn't even acknowledge this witness testimony when they made their statement. They didn't even get there until, like I said, like 9 minutes later. And I don't know. That's something that always bugged me. It's like, wait, because police car markings are pretty distinct. Like, you're not going to mess that up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, hell, even those unmarked cars that the police use are usually pretty easy to spot. You know what I mean? Yeah, but this lady, she claims she didn't see anyone buy the vehicle. It was just that there was this police-marked SUV parked facing the car that had crashed, and nobody else ever talks about this. Police straight up go, we know nothing about that. We don't know. So here's our report. According to police reports, they arrived at exactly 7:46 p.m. They claimed that there was no one around the vehicle. The car had impacted with a tree that was buried in the snow. The windshield was cracked, and there was debris on top of the car. The car's doors were locked, by the way. So real quick, did this lady have a car crash, stagger out, and then, do the beep beep thing and lock her car up? Well, I guess to be fair, if you were just in a crash, you could be pretty disoriented.
Yeah.
But I don't know, some reason that image just always struck me as funny. She literally had a wreck, got out, stopped what she was doing, and locked the car. And then apparently met the bus driver and begged him to not call the police. Now, we're not done yet, boys and girls. We're not done by a long shot. Inside and outside of the vehicle, there was a red substance found. Police identified it as red wine. There were also empty bottles of beer and a damaged box of Franzia wine? Franzia wine? Not sure how to pronounce that.
It's not ringing a bell.
In addition, it's boxed wine, so I mean, ew.
Yeah.
I think you have to have like 8 cats and at least 2 ex-husbands to drink boxed wine. But anyway.
It's too expensive. For the alcohol content you get.
Anyway, inside the vehicle was found a AAA card, which was assigned to Murray, as well as a blank accident report form, a pair of gloves, several CDs, makeup, diamond jewelry, and the printed out directions to Burlington, Vermont, along with the book Not Without Peril, which, by the way, is a mountain climbing book.
I started to say, I know that book, I think.
And here's the thing that I think is, this is where I question if Murray may have been a bad person, actually. Found abandoned in the back seat of the car was Murray's favorite stuffed animal.
Oh.
You don't leave the bear!
I know, right? Oh.
See, that's how you know you have to question if she was evil. You don't just abandon the favorite stuffed animal. You always go back for the animal. But yeah, no. Convenient that she had a car accident at a notoriously dangerous knife-edge turn, and she already had a form for filing an insurance report. Handy that. Isn't that interesting? And also, another thing that I think is weird is this red wine that they found all over the place. Because, I'm kind of putting things together as I read this stuff. Was she trying to make it look like she had had an accident and was like drunk or something? And then the bus driver showed up and she realized the jig was up, and so she had to flee.
See, that sounds right. Maybe.
I mean, let's assume that she's not the brightest. And I know I'm speaking ill of someone who most likely is gone, but I have to ask the questions. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like she was up to anything good. Like, jokes about stuffed teddy bears aside, this looks like she was up to something nefarious.
Yeah, insurance fraud or something.
Yeah, and keep in mind that she already had been found guilty. She confessed to identity theft, which is another kind of fraud. Yeah. So I'm wondering. But anyway, now a journalist claimed that she had went off the road, hit a tree, and spoken with people at the crash for 10 minutes before she just left. I want to point out real quick that this journalist is getting information wrong. And I don't know if it's intentional or it was by accident, but no, we believe that she spoke to the bus driver. She never spoke to the lady inside the house who witnessed her crash and and telegraphed the police. And the second female witness, the one that drove by, said that there was nobody around the two vehicles that she saw. So none of this is adding up, by the way. You know what I mean? And now you have a journalist who's getting stuff incorrect. Yeah, every step you take, there's just more complications in this whole thing, huh?
Yeah.
Very strange. But anyway. Police traced the vehicle to her and said, yep, she had indeed rented it. And initially they treated her as a missing persons on the belief that she had disappeared voluntarily, meaning she was a runaway.
But the lady said she heard a thump.
Yeah, that could have been her crashing.
Yeah.
Of course, now I actually think about it, snow is a dampener.
But you said...
You're inside a house. Outside, across the street, a car bumps into it. Well, see, how fast... Yeah. Yeah, there was a tree buried in the snowbank.
Also, there's snow. No footprints.
No one mentions footprints. They mention a red substance that's scattered around that they found was wine. Yeah.
Now, she could have crashed her car being sober and then...
See, here's the theory that I'm picturing in my head. She was planning to, but she screwed up and actually hurt herself crashing. And when she was trying to stage it with alcohol around, that's when the bus driver showed up, and she got scared, told him everything was fine, and then as soon as his back was turned, she ran off. Because she realized she was busted. Now, I want to point out, that is me speculating. I don't know what actually happened. The fact is, the reason we're talking about this is because nobody knows what actually happened. Although there were several sightings of her for, honestly, years. Like, it's kind of a funny thing. She's like, and this will sound like an insult, but I don't mean it to be. She's kind of like the Loch Ness monster of missing people. Every few years, there's someone who says they saw her, or that they saw her on a security camera, or you know, they got a picture of her. They were taking a selfie, and she was in the background, so she's all blurry like a Bigfoot, you know, in the classic pose and everything. This woman is frustrating to look into because, like I said, everybody and their ugly sister has seen this woman somewhere, sometime. Now, there were several alleged sightings specifically around the time that she had this crash and disappeared.
She does kind of look familiar.
Yeah. Like I said. Yeah, no, there's like
Now,
I could sit here all night listing off all these times that she's been cited. Like seriously, all the way until when was the last sighting of her?
Huh. Very, very odd. Yeah, I'm reading a little bit about it now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, everybody has seen this woman apparently. Interesting side note. In 2021, uh, somebody had gone to the tree that she crashed into and tied a blue ribbon around it. Um, However, the property owners, not wanting people to like make a shrine or anything on it, cut the tree down and uprooted the stump. They got rid of the tree completely because they didn't want people like leaving stuff on their property there. Um,
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
the last entry about this is that the FBI in 2022 released a age enhanced photograph of Murray, and that's really the last credible thing we have on it. The FBI released an age enhanced photo of what they suspect she would look like. Beyond that, I mean, take 10 steps, you'll probably bump into somebody who claims they saw her at some point. She's been sighted everywhere. And see, here's the thing. I don't know too much about New Hampshire. I know that it's up there in that northeastern corner where supposedly everything creepy ever happens. Are the woods around there particularly? Are there mountains in New Hampshire?
I've never been.
Because she had that book.
But yeah, there'd be like the Appalachian Mountains, I think.
Yeah, they
And,
run through New Hampshire, don't they?
I mean, yeah, it would be very forested.
Yeah, I know it's a wooded area. Lovecraft loved that countryside, by the way. He loved the Northeast. But anyway, back on topic. I don't know. It looks like she was trying to frame up an accident. She probably actually hurt herself by accident doing it. Got scared and tried to, just booked it.
Yeah. Could she have jumped on the back of the bus?
Ducked into the...
No, like ridden on the back so there'd be no footprints. I'm just speculating. And then like a few blocks
See,
down.
what about the van? What about the SUV?
Yeah.
That the police strangely refuse to talk about. Like, if somebody made a mistake, wouldn't you just say, "Oh, no. That individual must have been mistaken. There were no police." No, they actually are like, "We don't know anything about that." Very strange. And again, because a police marked vehicle, that's a very distinct car. You would easily recognize it. I don't know. There's just so many weird things about this whole thing. Could she have gotten picked up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I will say that unlike Bree, this doesn't look like a murder. This doesn't look like she was attacked or anything suspicious. This looks like it was a plan that went south, in my opinion. But unfortunately, that's all we got. I mean, like I said, I could sit here probably all night long listing all the times that somebody claimed they saw her. But yeah. And actually, we're at freaking time already. Dang.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Maybe it was just another passerby in the van, and she said,
She chased them off too, just like the bus driver?
or she asked for a ride, and the person's like, yeah, well,
Sure, we'll give you a lift real quick.
see, I don't know.
Yeah. And I guess we'll never will, and that's kind of the point, huh?
Yeah.
For the record, by the way, to the Murray family, no, I'm not trying to drag you guys or say anything nasty. I'm just assessing the public information. And yeah, she really has almost become like cryptid levels of like everyone has seen this woman. Everyone has a photo of her that's all blurry and bad. Like, yeah, I don't know.
See, I was...
And if you don't like me saying these things, Miss Murray, you could always come out of hiding and just, prove me wrong. Just gonna throw that out there. Probably get sued, but I'll say it anyway.
The father stated, according to this, that he believes his daughter was abducted and is dead.
Ugh. God, what a horrible thing to have to say, Like, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having to be the one to say that, about your own daughter? It's like, no, you people are wrong. Yeah, that's horrible. But, boy howdy. Yeah, so how is everyone in the chat? I'm sure we're all just having so much fun in the chat tonight.
Everybody just stop talking.
Five people out of every 1,000 go missing in Alaska every year. Wow. I don't want to go to Alaska.
See, I hear a lot of people go hiking.
Yeah, and it's wild country.
Yeah, Alaska. I've never been, but it's very, very dense. Like mountains, forests.
Yeah. But we're at time. And I had planned for one other thing, but you know what? Let's save it for next week. And we'll let it be a mystery there. And you guys can all just look forward to what's next week. In the meantime, though, wherever Bree and Miss Murray are, I hope that they're, at the very least at peace, Hopefully nothing horrible actually happened to them. In a weird way, when someone goes missing like this, you almost hope that it is runaway.
Yeah.
That's like the least bad situation.
See, I mean, there are...
My mom is saying alien abduction. Do aliens drive around in police SUVs? I mean, I guess to be fair, we can't confirm they don't.
True, yeah.
But anyway, I have been your host, Kristoff N. Chester. These are my faithful companion beasties, Famine and Gluttony. There's the bishop over in the corner.
Hey.
Scraps, the kobold up there, you hyperactive little bastard. And this is where my Mexican friend would be. If I had one. Don't know where the hell he went.
He did kind of just...
Convenient, he disappears when we're talking about famous missing people, right?
I know, right?
Hopefully he'll be back next week. May have to give him another freaking exorcism for demonic possession. But anyway, guys, and yeah, we'll be back next week talking about more weird stuff. Maybe it'll be a happier topic. I notice we're kind of in the reeds here, aren't we? We're not having a good time of it.
Maybe talk about alien abductions.
Because that's such a happy topic, right? Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next week. Anyway, though, boys and girls, we'll see you next week. And as always, keep checking the shadows.